This is my vlog of me and my brother going to the Kansas City Chiefs parade. It was an amazing day, but unfortunately at the end there was a mass shooting with over 22 people who were shot and one person at this time who passed away. There were multiple bus shuttle locations and we went and we got on one of the shuttles and took about a 20-minute drive to the parade, and we did this because we figured parking would be a disaster downtown. Kmart parking lot where we were getting picked up by the buses. Crowded as hell. Go Chiefs! We got there about 9 a.m. and they already had buses waiting.
Big symbol in the window, them the ones you can't get on.
Alright, this is where we got dropped off at, over there where the buses are. And we gotta walk. You guys see downtown. Let me zoom in. We gotta probably walk a good, I don't know, probably 20 minutes or so before we get there. This is my brother Spencer, who I went with, and while we were walking, we came across this cool Kansas City Royals painting. Here, see what that is. It says Stella Rosa. So I'm jumping a little ahead of myself, but it's important for the video. So on the far right, you see a man in a red hoodie, and he was wearing all red. I specifically remember this man because he looked like somebody I used to work with, and I thought that's who he was at first. And then I looked at his face, I was like, oh yeah, he's a little bit more light-skinned than the dude I thought he was. That's definitely not him. And that dude was sitting in front of us for a good majority before the parade started, and that was one of the men who was arrested and is one of the alleged shooters. Oh, it's Super Bowl parade, baby! Found a good little spot. We got food trucks right there. We're a block away from the bathrooms. They got some shaved ice machine. They got some Mexican funnel cakes. And then they got everybody. They got the kids playing right there. They got people on the rooftops all the way up there. Let's go, Chiefs! We got bored because we still had an hour before the parade when we first got there, so we got out of our spot and decided to play catch and go use the bathroom. We got kids in the trees. Then we looked at the clock and realized it was 5 to 11, and 11 a.m. is when the parade was supposed to start. So we got in our spots.
The Chiefs are there.
I'm not gonna lie, it was hard to see anything. I wish I had a view like this guy in this apartment building on the top floor, just looking out from his balcony. Here is the best I could get, and at first they brought out all the Chiefs cheerleaders, and it was really hard to see them. Then they had a few floats with a bunch of people who serve in the military. Then they brought out the Kansas City Chiefs mascot, the Casey I'm not sure who all these people on top of the buses were. I'm assuming family members of different people who were on the team. And so they came out with a few different buses, and then they finally came with a bus with somebody holding the Super Bowl trophy on top of it. The parade off 17th Street, and I thought for sure when the Chiefs were going to come out, they were going to come out on a bus like we had been seeing a lot of the other people come out on, so as much people as possible could see them, because that's what I remember seeing them do on previous Super Bowl parades. But when they did finally come out, they were walking on foot, which was a little disappointing because only the super tall people or the people right next to the street could see them. And Mahomes walked not that far in front of us, but unfortunately, we couldn't even really get a glimpse of him.
Big Red! Let's go. Hey, you take pictures with the kids, Andy? Go around. You're the best!
The parade ended, so me and my brother headed down to Union Station where they're going to have the victory rally afterwards with all the Chiefs players, and they're all going to give like a little speech. So we headed down there, and we were off 23rd and Grand, and we were literally 1 block over from the Union Station, and it was so crowded. And we tried to work our way into the crowd, and we ended up getting by where that blue, I'm not sure what that is, whatever that little blue thing is, I'll circle it, in the crowd. We ended up working our way over there, but it was just so overwhelming. There were so many people, they were squeezed in. We had people constantly trying to squeeze in even more and kept pushing us and shoving us. And we're like, you know what? This is a little overwhelming. So my brother's like, hey, how about we just go get something to eat and just say screw it? Because we couldn't even see anything anyways because there's so many people. We were literally just looking at the back of people's heads. So we ended up leaving, and here I'm getting like a little clip trying to show how many people were there and how crowded it was. So here we are walking away, and when we were walking away, we got a couple blocks away, and we started hearing all these popping noises, and like a really old car drove by right when I heard all these popping noises, and I even looked at my brother and I said, man, it sounds like all that car's tires just popped at once. Me and my brother were talking about how all the trash cans were overflowing and all the trash on the ground, so I started recording it, and right then an ambulance came flying by, and I had no idea at the time that there had just been a shooting blocks away, and that's what the ambulance was responding to. All the trash on the ground and everybody left.
I was gonna be like, oh,
Thank God we left when we did, or we would have been in the middle of the mass shooting and we had just barely missed it by minutes. So we went 1 block over from Union Station when we left. We only made it a few more blocks before we heard the popping noises and then the ambulance. We went over to Grinders on 18th Street, and it was super crowded, but we got lucky and found a seat right when someone was leaving. So we sat down and ate a Philly cheesesteak. We ate really fast, and as soon as we left Grinders, we were hearing police and ambulance nonstop. They were constantly driving past us, and then as soon as we made it back to our shuttle bus, a couple more blocks from there, we found out that there had just been a mass shooting. And I found out because I had just gotten on the bus and my fiance called me, and he was terrified. I knew something bad had happened by the sound of his voice, and he's like, oh my God, are you okay? And I said yes, and he's like, there's just a mass shooting. And I came home, and here's the KC policing. Anybody that's nearby needs to leave the area as quickly as possible. This is just such a sad tragedy, and I cannot believe that we just barely made it out of there in time. It kind of makes me super emotional thinking about it, and I'm not gonna lie, I even was having a few scared feelings before I even went, because there's just so many crazy people out here anymore. I even told my brother that I hope nobody does anything stupid, because a few years ago when they had a Chiefs parade rally, somebody ends up driving down the street at the parade and trying to run over all sorts of people. And Kansas City is an extremely dangerous city to live in and be around. And I never get out. And one of the few times I get out, something like this happens. I apologize if we seem happy in the pictures, but this is before we found out about the tragedy that happened. And I've just been extremely emotional this past 24 hours since finding out about this. And I'm so thankful I did not bring my children to this event, because over 8-9 different children were shot. And I was planning on bringing both of my babies with me and pushing them in each of their strollers with my brother, because I just wanted them to get out. But last minute, my mom was like, hey, I decided to take off work so I can watch them. Thank God she did, because I'm sure if I would have took the children with me, not only would they been in between the whole tragedy that happened, but we probably would have still been on Union Station, because we definitely would have been slowed down by having the children and having to push them around. I had posted that I was headed to the Chiefs Super Bowl parade, and when everybody found out about the mass shooting, people were blowing me up asking if that was okay. And yes, I am okay, but unfortunately there was 22 people shot in total. One person that's passed away so far, she was like a radio DJ, and I just can't even imagine what their families are going through right now. It was just such a beautiful day that ended in tragedy, and I just pray for everybody involved. But that's it for this video, guys.